up, peeps? How you guys doing today? So, if you've been following along and you watched our live stream, in my world 10 minutes ago, in your world 1 week ago, the plan originally was to have a drawer built into here this week so we could show you how we built our first drawer, where our first piece of storage is going to be inside of our van, as well when we remove that drawer, how we're going to service this heater moving forward once the van build's all complete. But we have tool issues, so it's not going to happen, and we need to keep moving forward. But luckily, if you take a look around inside of our van, there's absolutely no shortage of projects that need to be complete. But in this game of 3D chess that we're playing, certain projects can only be done at certain times because everything's got to come together piece by piece and step by step like our series is going. And that next logical step for us is to build this area right here in, which is going to be our complete power station where we fit our batteries, our power inverter, our solar charge controller, and all those great things, and make sure they're going to fit there like we planned in our head. And while planning our electrical power station, aside from not being an electrician and trying to figure out what kind of power do you need for battery amp hours and wattage, what size power inverter do you need, solar controller, what's the wire, how do you run it, how do you fuse it, all that kind of good jazz that we got to figure out, what we'll talk about in another video. For this one, we had to just figure out just the location as to where this is going to be to create the shortest wire runs possible and have the best location. Now, when I was doing my research on this, the most common place for people to put their power station seems to be right back here at the rear of the van. And it seems to be that people call this their garage area, and they'll place the whole power unit, batteries and inverters and everything underneath the bed / seating area. But there's a few reasons why I don't like this idea. But hold on, it's freaking cold out here. It's way too cold to be standing outside. Check this out. So the first reason I have for not having our batteries underneath where our bed area is going to be is safety. So one, if you're using like a lead acid battery that vents, you have something underneath your bed that vents up poisonous gases from the battery. And if you're using lithium batteries, well, I don't know if you've ever seen like a Tesla battery start on fire.
Also breaking tonight, a Tesla burned for hours tonight in Monroeville.
They do not go out. They burn and burn and burn. So I don't want that happening underneath my bed while I'm sleeping because it happens really fast. The second reason for me is the weight of the power station itself. So as you see, our wheel wells are right here. We're gonna have a water tank on this side. It's about 100 pounds full. We have a water tank on this side. It's about 100 pounds full. Meaning that our power station, because this is a U-shaped dinette, would have to go to the very back side of the van, meaning that's another 100 pounds right over the rear bumper. And all that weight is past the rear tires, which I just really don't like that. That's gonna cause us to weigh down the back end, depreciating gas mileage, more wear and tear on your suspension and tires, all kinds of things that I really just didn't want to have to contend with. And the number 3 reason is noise, because all those electronic devices that we use have fans in them to keep them cool. So as they operate, they're going to be running those fans, and if it's right below your bed, obviously all you're going to listen to is fans all night. So if we bring it up to the front, we're centralizing the weight, we're keeping the gases or lithium potential of fire away from our bed area. And number 3, obviously the noise is all going to be up here at the front, far away from where our bed is. So we won't have to deal with that as much per se. And once it's all built into cabinetry, I bet you from the bed, we won't be able to hear it at all. Now to assemble this power station, we're going to use the 80/20 product, just like we've been using throughout Romer on this whole internal framing build. And all the mounting procedures we're using, we've discussed already in this video right here. Editor, come on. Thank you. As well as this video right here. So if you want to go back and find out how we mount this stuff, click on that link right there, and it'll take you back to those videos, and you can walk through them one by one to see what kind of mounting procedures we're using. In this particular episode, I want to talk more about the thought process as to why we decided to go with this design, as well as what products we're actually going to be putting inside there that we have to build around and accommodate for when we put this power station together. Now I will say, when working with this small little area to fit all of our batteries and inverters and everything into, my brain went through quite a few different renditions as to what this could actually look like at the end of the day. And as of today, the whole design has changed again. My first idea was that I'd have it on like a slide out and you'd build like a tower with our batteries, inverter, charger, and it would slide out, have lights on it, glass, all that, and look really freaking fancy when you pulled it out. But that created some challenges because obviously all the parts that went into there all have to be hooked together with wires, and they all have to hook to these wires that are coming out of our walls. So to make this so it could slide out means you'd have to use like a power chain, or I guess power chain they call it, that looks like this. I'll pop up on the screen. And this is so your wires can run through it. It can open and close, and the wires will fold nicely so you don't have to worry about them getting pinched or pulled out of where they're hooked into. Of course, the problem with that is that then you need longer cable lengths. And I know in the last video I kind of mentioned that it's all these small things that are blowing the budget out of the water. Well, wire is definitely one of those. When you start thinking 1/0 type cable, it's like 10, 20, almost 30 bucks a foot depending on the brand you go on. So you start adding a couple extra feet to each wire, you've just blown a few $100 without even thinking twice about it, all because you wanted a fancy pull out. Plus, I figured if it's on sliders and you pull it in and out, when we're driving, it's probably gonna rattle a little bit. And that's one thing I'm really trying to avoid, is any type of rattles as we drive down the road. I want this thing to be tight and solid and not have to listen to squeaking and clanking as we drive down these bumpy roads that we're gonna be boondocking in once we get on the road. The next option I came up with was I'd just build it all right down into here, nice and compact, nice and low. But the problem with that is you'd have your batteries, your inverter on top of that, solar controller on top of that, and everything's compact and nice and tight. But if we ever had to change a battery or go in there and change a fuse or something like that, you'd end up having to pull everything apart to get at those parts. And serviceability is a huge key to this whole project as well, in making sure that if something does go wrong or we build it wrong, we're able to fix it without having to tear everything apart. So now to show you what we're actually building, I need to put our batteries into this place so I can build the first part of framing around those batteries to make sure everything's gonna fit in tight. But unfortunately at this point, I still don't have our batteries. They're super duper expensive. I'm already going for broke on this whole project. If you guys want to donate, please just click that link below. It's greatly appreciated, and hopefully I'm bringing enough value to you that's saving you time that maybe makes it feel like it's worth paying a little bit of money for this. No pressure, of course. So with these batteries, I'm a very visual person. I like to have things in front of me. So what I've done is I've taken a big cardboard box, I cut it into tons of tiny little pieces, I taped them all back together, and bada bing bada boom, we now have 4 boxes, which are the exact same size as the 4 100 amp hour Battleborn batteries we're going to be installing inside of the van. So now we set them up down here on the floor, and we now get an accurate representation of exactly what those 400 amp hour batteries are going to look like sitting in this spot. And the one thing I like about lithium batteries is they're super light, and you can mount them any direction you want because they're a completely sealed battery. They don't need to vent, they have no liquid inside of them, so you're free to mount them any direction you want as to what works for your build. So what I'm going to do, now that I know where these sit and how they fit, I'm going to build this framing in, and you guys are sitting outside right now, and it's freaking cold outside. It's hard enough to keep the heat in here, so I'm going to shut the door, and I'll come back when I got this all built. Sound like a plan? Cool. Whoa. I'll be right back. What up, peeps? So this is how far I've gotten so far. Just having myself some dinner, some crackers, and some good old water. Going for broke ain't no joke, my friends. It's probably healthier for me anyways than the Big Macs, right? So, hold on. Get in here. Let me show you what's going on. It's freaking cold outside. First things first. These ceramic heaters were not doing the job. I did end up having to hook up our hydronic heater, and I'm here to report it's doing a fabulous job. Holding us strong at 21 degrees Celsius. And it's sweet because it just turns on and off without me even having to think about it. It just does it automatically. And yes, it is safe as the exhaust does come out of here, but underneath the seams of our area, you can see there's a huge gap all the way around. Plus, we sacrifice the warmth inside this area and leave this door open, so the air just goes straight through, right back out through the front. So there's no worry of fume poisoning on this. But this sub-zero temperature and our furnace going, let me show that everything down in there where our pipes are above zero, which means even in minus 28 degrees C weather, all those pipes where they're sitting are above zero. And this furnace hasn't been going very long, a couple hours at most. We point it down here, it's like 10 degrees on this side, and same with this one over here. It's like 10 degrees over on this side. So even in this cold weather, I know those water lines we put underneath the floor, there's no way they're gonna freeze. But onto the project at hand. And here's where we're at so far. I know, after a week, it doesn't look like much, but I'm telling you, a lot of thought process has gone into getting us this far in this part of the build. So basically what's gonna happen is back here is where our batteries are gonna sit, just like that. You'll notice I did take out the driver's side seat. And the reason for that is, once this is all assembled, to take in and out the batteries, you will have to remove the driver's seat and everything will come out this side of the van, so we don't have to look at it visually from the outside once all the cabinetry is built. Then on the front side here, this is going to be a little cabinet that pops up. We'll be able to store our shoes, hats, dog leash, all those kind of things inside there. Pop down, and it'll also have a nice cushion on top of it, so it can be used in the situation for, say, this chair is not turned around. We just want to quickly put our shoes on and off before exiting the door. Very easy accomplished using this seat right here. As well, when I do have this seat turned around, we're sitting here enjoying the view out the doors. We now have a footrest. Everything in a van has to have multi-purposes, and that's like a three-purpose little thing. Winning, and trust me, I've used this a lot already, sitting here doing exactly this, thinking about what the heck we're doing. Because when I got to this point of the build, I sat here for hours trying to figure out what I'm doing with the video part of this problem I'm dealing with right now. So as you'll see on the floor of this cabinet, we have our hot line and our cold line that goes to our shower on the other side of this wall. And that line goes down underneath the floor to where a heating system is. And to finish building this cabinet, I need to do something with those lines right now, but that wasn't gonna be part of this video. So I sat in our seat with our feet up for hours debating, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna record it and share it with you guys? I actually went to the point of starting to record a whole separate video that I would have edited in so that when we got to the part of installing our shower mixers into the wall here, we would have had those lines all pre-recorded. But man, I'm telling you, when you get that many projects on the go, like we got 4 things on the go right now that I have partial recordings for, it's just becoming too much. And I feel like I'm starting to think about this way too much as well. And you are about to fall. Oh. And now we almost ended up with a broken camera. So what I've decided, in an attempt to keep it simple for myself, I've grabbed all my parts. And we're gonna install that right now and show you what we did. So the first thing you're gonna notice on these water lines coming out of the floor, if you've been following along and watched our video of us putting these water lines underneath the floor, I had originally put shark bites into this spot right here, and I expressed a lot of concern about doing that. On this side, I can have them come up like we did with those bends. But on this side, we have to use, or what I've decided to use was shark bite fittings. I'm putting all my faith into 2 little push-on fittings. And then you'll know, if you've been following along on our Instagram post, that I couldn't sleep at night with those shark bite fittings underneath the floor like this. So I actually went back in and I changed them all back out to crimps on there. And it was all because I didn't think I'd be able to fit these 90-degree PEX bend radius pieces into this spot and still have it come up tight against the back of the shower. Well, as you'll see, we have changed them out to that and it works freaking fabulous. And now there's no fittings underneath the floor. It's a solid line, so I don't have to worry about it at all, which makes me sleep a lot better at nighttime. So to continue running these lines up, our first fitting is going to be the 1/2x1/2 straight fittings that'll fit right into our PEX lines. So we'll just crimp these right in place like we did all the other lines that we did on the furnace the other week. Then we'll be able to attach our longer hot line as well as our cold line. And you'll see they run all the way up to the top to where the shower head's going to be. And then to hold these lines in place so they sit nice and tight up against our framing, we have these 1/2-inch PEX clamps that look just like this, and they drive in with a nail. So just clip it into place like that, and then just drive the nail into our piece of wood. And it holds it nice and tight. So now what I've done is I've taken these 1/2-inch swivel type fittings. They're a 90-degree angle. I went the right-hand ones this time. And once I got them in place, knowing where my handles are gonna be, we can now lock these two lines in place with the same clamps. And they will now be ready for when the shower install on this side of the shower is ready to happen. And I'll explain why I went so high with it when we get to that video. But there it is, from the bottom of the floor all the way up to where that goes in. We're done. I did not actually clamp these in because I don't know the exact height of this yet, but I left myself a little extra because I'm pretty sure it'll be about that height. I feel like I put way too much thinking into that little thing, re-recording and doing all this stuff. I should have just done that right from the get-go. Either way, I feel like sometimes these type of delays happen for a reason. And to complete this power tower that we've been working on here, I was about to start using the products that I had already purchased. Like the solar charge controller that we bought, as well as the pure sine wave power inverter that we purchased, to get them fit in place to know how that cabinet is all gonna come together. But I had mentioned a few weeks ago, I believe sitting in this exact seat, that we got reached out to by a van building company that wanted to sponsor our video on our batteries. And that's what I was planning for. I was actually built him for those batteries that he spoke of. But he just called me here today, Monday, and told me, while I was trying to get this all built, that it's not just the batteries, it's a complete electronic components for the whole unit itself. And I'm telling you, this is freaking high-tech stuff. You're gonna wanna stick around for this. But I'm gonna need more time to explain it all to you now, but I will tell you, even at cost, this is an investment of like $8,000. So that heater that we built, that I told you was the most expensive part of the van build, hold my beer. I got something else coming for you. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. What would you do? Would you invest that $8,000 for a whole different electronic system? Or would you just go with what we already bought? I feel like the fact that we're delivering the videos we're trying to build a top of the line product. I feel like going low cost in electronics is ripping you and me off, honestly. So I feel I really should go for it. And although it's $8,000, if you saw the true cost of this, if somebody wasn't sponsoring us, it's a phenomenal deal and probably only happen once in a lifetime. But I don't have any more time to talk about this, my friends, because we're way over our time limit for this week. So if you want to hear more, come back next week. And I promise you, I'll show you a lot more as to what's going on in here. So, if you made it this far, you haven't subscribed yet, maybe consider doing so. No pressure, of course. You do you. If you have subscribed, thank you, thank you, thank you. Maybe consider hitting that bell. And we will see you on the next video. Perfect.